Why? Did you have another dream, Joelle? Yes, I dreamt that I was a news anchor again. A news anchor who looks exactly like me. What's the schedule? Oh, it's this weekend. How many minutes will you be on? About 13 or 14 minutes. That's not much, right? It's not even 15 minutes. It's not like I'm staying overnight for only 14 minutes. I was just asking, how can someone from a dream exist in real life? And the strangest part is she even called me by her name in the dream. What was her name again? Onho. In my dream, she was called Onho, and I thought she was just a figment of my imagination. But wait, Onho is real? She's not a dream character? What do you mean? Are you telling me Yunho is a real person? It's not possible, right? In my dream, she was the news anchor named Juho. What did you just say, teacher? No, she's not Juho. She's Onho. The news anchor is named Onho, not Juho. Are you messing with me? I'm sure the person in my dream was a news anchor named Juho. But here you are, telling me it was Onho all along. That's so confusing. And to top it off, I thought I was Harry, but apparently I'm not. You're telling me I'm Yunho? What's going on? Is this some kind of dissociative identity disorder? No, it can't be. It was just a dream. It wasn't real. But now you're saying that the dream was trying to tell me something? That I'm not Harry, but Yunho? It's like I'm stuck between two people. I'm Harry, but I'm also Yunho. What's happening? I don't have dissociative identity disorder. This is too much. It's like I'm living two lives in one body. One mind, but two identities. This isn't just a love triangle. It's a psychological crisis. They call it dissociative identity disorder, but I'm not sure what's happening to me. I'm one person, but I feel like two. You know what? I don't want to talk about love. I'm dealing with enough right now. But everyone keeps asking me about my relationship with Yunho. How do I explain this? Am I in love with her, or am I her? The more I think about it, the more confusing it gets. I need to figure out who I am before I can figure out who I love. But then again, if I'm Yunho, does that mean I love someone else? Or do I love myself? It's like my whole life is one big riddle. And to make it worse, everyone keeps comparing relationships with MBTI types, blood types, and compatibility. But what about me? I'm not even sure who I am anymore, let alone who I'm compatible with. Is this some kind of cosmic joke? Even when I ask my friend, he just gives me more questions. He asks, would you save me if I were drowning? And I can't even answer that. How am I supposed to save someone when I don't even know who I am? I keep hearing voices in my head like news anchors announcing the 9 o'clock news, but the voice is mine. It's 9 o'clock. The news is on. Is it me or is it the news? Listen, this is too much for me. I can't handle it. I don't want to talk about love stories or romantic drama. I just want to figure out what's going on in my head. I'm tired of being confused about who I am and what I want. It's not about love. It's about survival. I have to work on my morning radio show, and that's enough for me. Waking up at 5 a.m., working until 2 p.m., that's my life. There's no room for romance in that. I don't care about these love questions anymore. I just want to focus on my career. But every time I try, someone reminds me of Eunho. It's like I can't escape her, even though she's me. I just need some peace. I need to figure this out. So that's where I'm at. No love stories, no romantic entanglements. Just me, Eunho, trying to make sense of this double life. Maybe one day I'll have answers, but for now, I'm just trying to get through the day. Here's the expanded English version of your transcript, with the character Eunho portrayed as a woman and stretched to be 7 times longer for a longer audio duration. Ever since Eunho joined the company, she had always been somewhat invisible, overshadowed by others, and never able to truly stand out. It's just not working out because of Eunho, they would say, always blaming her for the smallest issues. But this time, Eunho wasn't going to let herself be sidelined. I'll take the lead for the live broadcast, she declared, her voice steady with determination. It wasn't like her to be this bold, but something had changed. She wanted to prove herself, to step out of the shadows. But of course, her colleague Hyun-ho was always the first to take action. He had a reputation for stepping up when things got tough, often taking the credit for others' hard work. Has she gone mad? They whispered behind her back as Eunho prepared for the broadcast. Does she even know how hard I worked to secure this spot? Someone grumbled. Eunho ignored the chatter, focusing on her task. After all, she had fought hard to get this opportunity, much like arranging flowers in a vase. carefully, deliberately, making sure every piece was in the right place. Why can't they just leave me alone and let me do my job properly? She thought. To Eunho, it seemed like everyone else saw her efforts as insignificant, but she wasn't about to let that stop her. I used to think you hated me, she admitted to a colleague during lunch. Honestly, I wouldn't blame you if you did. But as she reflected more, she realized it wasn't hate. It was something else. You still care about me, don't you? She asked, half joking. Her colleague gave her a look of disbelief. I stepped in to take on the live broadcast because I knew you couldn't handle it, he said. It wasn't out of love or care. It was just business. Eunho wasn't so sure. I'm 37, still single, and I've got nothing to lose, she thought. If this is how they want to play it, then fine. She wasn't about to let anyone else dictate her life. You must still have feelings for me, she mused, though deep down she knew that wasn't the case. No, I've made up my mind, she declared. I don't need your pity, and I don't need your love. Keep your so-called affection for yourself. Are you done? Her colleague asked, exasperated. You know the love you're offering is nothing but an empty promise. I can tell. It's all fake. She sighed. I'll talk to the manager about getting someone else for this role. But the conversation didn't end there. What if I moved your beloved morning show to the afternoon slot instead? Her colleague teased. Would that make you happy? Eunho rolled her eyes. What do you think this is? Some kind of omnipotent scheme to make everyone happy? No, I'm serious, she said, straightening up. I could do it. I could make that morning show a hit. I'm meant for this. But of course, that was easier said than done. Sure, the CEO would love that, her colleague laughed. The morning commute, the listeners, they rely on me. I'm not going anywhere. Eunho was stunned. Wait, what just happened? Am I really doing this? She thought as she found herself suddenly in charge of the morning broadcast. She had no idea how she got there, but there she was, taking on a role she had never imagined. The 9:05 a.m. morning show was now hers. It's not a love quarrel, everyone would say. It's definitely not that. But everyone knew that wasn't true. Even though the whole company saw it differently, Eunho knew this wasn't about love. It was about proving herself, proving she could succeed where others thought she would fail. Eunho stood next to Hyunho, plotting her next move. You'll regret this, she thought. I'll make sure of it. She was determined to make him see that she wasn't just some invisible colleague, but someone worth noticing. Suddenly, her phone rang. It was Ji-hoon. How about a date? He asked casually. I'm only free this weekend, though. After that, I'll be busy with filming. Sure, Eunho said without hesitation. Let's do this weekend. What do you want to do? Ji-hoon asked, his voice playful. Is there something you've been wanting to eat? Or maybe a place you want to visit? Eunho thought for a moment. No, nothing in particular, she said. But I'll let you know if something comes to mind. While Eunho seemed unfazed, she knew deep down that this wasn't just any date. It was her chance to take control, to show that she could live her life on her own terms. Meanwhile, plans for the weekend shoot at the beach were underway. It's going to be a tough one, they said. The tides are unpredictable, and it's hard to get the right shots. Let's send Ji-hoon, someone suggested. He loves doing these kinds of segments. What? That's nonsense, Eunho thought. No one enjoys these things. But she kept quiet, knowing it wasn't her place to argue. As the weekend approached, Eunho couldn't help but feel a little nervous. What's the schedule again? She asked her colleague. This weekend, they replied. It's a 14-minute segment, not much, but it's something. Only 14 minutes? Eunho said, feeling slightly disappointed. That's barely enough time for a proper broadcast. But she smiled, knowing that even a short segment could make an impact if done right. Everyone loves Hyunho's insights, her colleague said, trying to make conversation. But honestly, I think you'll do just fine, maybe even better. Eunho nodded, her mind racing with possibilities. What about our date next weekend? Ji-hoon asked again. Have you thought about it? I'll figure something out, Eunho replied, though she wasn't really focused on the date. She was too busy thinking about the broadcast, the beach shoot, and all the things she had to prove. The weekend finally arrived. Look here, I'm on set, Eunho called out to her friend, smiling as the camera crew set up. But even as she worked, her mind drifted back to Ji-hoon. What does this mean? She wondered. Are we just colleagues, or is there something more? As the sun set over the beach, Yoonho felt a sense of accomplishment. She had done it. She had taken control of her career and her life. I can do this, she thought. I'm Yoonho, and I'm stronger than they think. Here's an extended version of your transcript for audio, multiplied 7x, incorporating Yoonho as a woman in English. Had always been the quiet type from the day she joined the company. Yet her silence didn't mean she lacked strength. Today, Yoonho finds herself facing the challenges of her job head-on, despite everyone underestimating her. Her colleague constantly seems to be one step ahead, his sharp words and actions often derailing her progress. Put this on, he says casually, as though he always knows best. But Yoonho isn't one to back down easily. That night, Jian, who usually had a playful tone, asked something out of character. Why did you decide to meet me? What were you thinking? He asked seriously. Yoonho's heart skipped a beat. She had never imagined Jian would be this direct. She hesitated, then replied with honesty. Jian, I can't stand Hunho. He's always there, like a constant shadow. Even in her dreams, Hunho haunted her thoughts, always appearing vividly, as though he was a part of her subconscious. But this was no dream. Hunho was wide awake, and she couldn't help but laugh at the absurdity of it all. I had a dream about being an anchor, she mused, trying to shake off the feeling of déjà vu. In the dream, there was an anchor that looked just like her, running around the studio frantically. Maybe I'm just tired, she sighed. Tired? Hunho, you're always saying you're bored, Jian chuckled. But Hunho knew that it wasn't boredom, it was something much deeper. She was tired of the predictability of the daily grind. Is love the answer? She wondered out loud. She had forgotten most things about herself, but not the loneliness. Despite losing her memory, Hunho didn't feel sad. Excuse me, is this seat taken? She asked a stranger. No, go away, came the harsh reply, yet Hunho smiled. She had found small joys in seeing familiar faces, even if they didn't recognize her. Yoonho had been hiding her feelings for so long that now, even the simplest emotions felt new. What kind of person is he? She thought, looking at the man sitting across the room. The audience loved him, but he was far from friendly. Yoonho, on the other hand, was the complete opposite. He was always so considerate with the women he dated, treating them with a gentleness that surprised even Yoonho. Senior, you always make me late, Jian pouted. I'll eat dinner with you if that's what you want, she said with a teasing smile. But my wish, he began, only to be cut off. What, the world ending? Yoonho joked. No, I have a real wish this time. He paused, the teasing tone gone. I want to have dinner with you. Yoonho couldn't believe how bold Jian had become. He was always the one hiding behind his bangs, avoiding eye contact. Does he think his face is so handsome that everyone will fall for him? She thought with a laugh. I'm not that pretty, she whispered to herself. But her laughter died down when she found herself in a dangerous situation at work. One day, while covering an important story, Yoonho witnessed something shocking. A colleague, Juyeon, was being harassed in the lobby of the office. Suddenly, all her fears melted away. With newfound courage, Yoonho rushed to Juyeon's side, pulling her away from danger. Why is this happening? She asked herself as the chaos unfolded. She had never felt such adrenaline before. That night, Yoonho couldn't shake the feeling that something magical had just begun in her life. It's as if I met someone from my dream, she murmured. Doctor, she said during her next therapy session, I met someone in real life who I first saw in my dream. The doctor listened carefully, nodding, and in the dream, they called me Yoonho. The doctor's eyes widened. What was the name they called you in the dream? It was Yoonho, she repeated, confusion clear on her face. Am I Yoonho? She asked. You've been coming here for 2 months, Yoonho, the doctor said softly. I'm not Harry, am I? She whispered. No, Yoonho, you're not Harry. You're Yoonho. And just like that, everything clicked into place. Yoonho realized that she had been living 2 lives, one as herself and one as Harry, a different identity that had been created in her mind. One body, 2 hearts, she thought, trying to make sense of it all. Who am I? She asked, staring at her reflection. Why does this feel so real? Her reflection didn't answer, but deep down, Yoonho knew the truth. She had been living as Harry for so long that she forgot what it meant to be herself. I am Yoonho, she whispered, taking a deep breath. Back at work, Her colleague Juno noticed something strange. "Why are you walking like that?" he asked, raising an eyebrow. Eunho forced a smile. "I'm trying to be funny." "Is this real life?" Juno muttered under his breath. "What are you talking about?" Eunho asked, but Juno just laughed, waving her off. Eunho's mind was racing. Am I really the same person as Harry? She wondered. She couldn't believe it. Her heart pounded in her chest. There's no way, she thought. But what about the scar? She touched the spot on her arm where Harry had a scar, but to her shock, it wasn't there. You have dissociative identity disorder, the doctor had told her. You and Harry share the same body. This transcript has been expanded to 7 times its original length for extended audio production, while keeping Eunho as a woman. To make the transcript 7 times longer for extended audio duration while keeping Eunho as a woman, here's an enhanced version of the text, with repetitions and elaborations to stretch the content. In medical terms, we call it dissociative identity disorder. It's commonly known as multiple personality disorder. For some reason, Eunho, in her body, has another personality, Harry. It's been a while since 2 distinct identities have coexisted in one body. Eunho and Harry have lived completely different lives. They have different ages, names, and even professions. The switch between personalities can happen for various reasons. It might happen when they drink alcohol, when they're under extreme stress, or even when they wake up from sleep. Eunho, a morning person, always insists on going to work, even under pressure from the newsroom director. She wakes up at 4 a.m., works as a news anchor for PPS, and after she goes to sleep at 4 p.m., Harry wakes up to live her life as a parking attendant at a media company. One day something changes. Harry faces her biggest challenge yet. She comes face to face with her ex-lover, Ju-yeon. The encounter leaves Harry shaken, and she starts remembering everything about their past relationship. I was in the elevator that day, Harry recalls. Then suddenly, an old lady appeared and threatened me with a pickaxe. You showed up just in time and saved me. I'm really grateful for that. As Ju-yeon listens, he seems both concerned and confused. Harry can tell just by looking at his face. I was really scared, Harry admits, but I also felt safe because you were there. Ju-yeon's expression is kind but distant. He struggles to understand Harry's feelings, but Harry is determined to reconcile her emotions. As their conversation unfolds, Harry's vulnerability becomes apparent. Why are you smiling? Ju-yeon asks. It's just, I've never seen you smile like that, Harry replies. Ju-yeon realizes that despite everything, Harry's feelings for him are genuine. I really liked you, Ju-yeon, she says, her voice soft but sincere. I just wanted you to know. As they continue talking, Harry's feelings deepen, and she expresses her desire to understand Ju-yeon better. I like you, Ju-yeon, she admits, and I want to know more about you. This confession brings them closer, and they decide to spend more time together. Harry's straightforwardness catches Ju-yeon off guard, but he can't help but feel drawn to her. Meanwhile, Eunho is completely unaware of what's going on with Harry. She's focused on building her career, oblivious to the fact that another personality, Harry, is sharing her body. Harry, on the other hand, is trying to mend her relationship with Ju-yeon. But things get complicated when Eunho wakes up in the middle of Harry's interactions, leaving both of them confused. Who am I? Eunho wonders, as she wakes up in Ju-yeon's house with no memory of how she got there. As she tries to piece together the events, Eunho feels overwhelmed by the situation. Meanwhile, Ju-yeon is also grappling with his own feelings. He's curious about Harry, but he also feels a strange connection to Eunho. As the story unfolds, Eunho and Harry continue to switch places, living their double lives. Harry struggles to keep her emotions in check, while Eunho remains oblivious to the chaos brewing inside her. Ju-yeon, caught in the middle, tries to understand both women, unaware that they are the same person. This is the story of Eunho and Harry, 2 women, 1 body, and a love that transcends their identities. This version elaborates on the dialogue, adding more detailed descriptions and emotional insights, allowing for a longer audio duration.